Welcome to the Prime People Podcast. I'm your host, and on this podcast, we interview some of the best and brightest in all things business, sales, and marketing. Today, I have a very special guest, Mr. Scott Simons himself. He is one of the leads at Carter Meyer Automotive Groups, and they are one of the most empathetic and thoughtfully led sales organizations on the planet. I have had the privilege of spending hundreds of hours with Scott up to this point, collaborating and getting ideas. His fingerprints are all over Prime as well. And it's made a huge difference in terms of how we are growing the business. So, Scott, welcome to the Prime People Podcast.
Hey, Justin, I'm so glad we got this put together, man. We've been trying to get this on the schedule. And although we talk, through Clubhouse for years and on Fridays, you have a segment and I have a segment. And you finally said, hey, let's get it done. And we had an opportunity to get this done. So, man, I'm excited to be here. I love everything that you bring to Clubhouse. I've learned a lot from you. So that's what a great relationship is about, is where you can learn from each other, maybe in even different industries. And, hey, what are you doing well? And, just ask you a question about real estate. And you're like, hey, man, I'm heading into that area. Man, I'll hook you up. No problem. So, that's what life's all about, man. Great connections. So thank you for having me on.
I can't even talk about how much you've impacted me about thinking about the relationship piece. Like, one of the biggest keys to sales, period, is the relationship, right? And when you talk about being thoughtful about the relationships you engage in, it's really something that I think everybody that is in business knows is true, but has a hard time implementing. Now, when we talk about building effective sales team, I think getting to the relational part of a working relationship is one of the most complicated things ever. Building trust, being in the trenches together. Like, when there's money involved, it gets so sticky. So let's jump right into it. Like, running the teams that you've ran over the years, the size of the teams, like, what do you think is the core thing that matters when it comes to running an effective sales team?
Yeah. So, Justin, obviously I've been around the block for a little bit. I'm on my 27th year in the auto industry. Over that time, I spent 9 years as a general manager of a dealership group, then joined Carter Meyer's Automotive Group for the last 13 years. I just had my 13-year celebration. And for a general manager of a car dealership to last that long, and I've lucky to say in the auto industry, I've never been terminated, which is something crazy also, right?
Yeah.
Because, it's production based. If you don't produce, you're not going to be there. So I've been really fortunate to work for a couple of great groups. Obviously, Carter Meyer's Automotive Group is a fantastic group that I work with now. Liza Borsch is our CEO, 23 locations, 1,200 associates. She's actually here today.
What?
Doing new hire training.
Wow.
So everybody goes through new hire training to learn about the culture of our business. So Liza is actually here. She goes and travels to different markets. And so the new hire training is today. So I just got to see her today. But anyway, I made some mistakes during that time too, Justin. And I learned more from my mistakes than my setbacks than I did my wins, for sure.
Yeah.
So what I realized was I had to build a vision of the company, of where we want to move lives forward, where we want to move the lives forward of our associates first, which then they'll move the lives forward of our valued customers, our guests.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll move the lives forward of our community. And I was fixated on becoming a car dealer, that what I did was I worked my way into production, but all I was worried about was achieving my goal. And what happened to me was I ballooned up to 265 pounds. To give you an idea, I'm clocking in at about 195 right now.
Ooh, nice and good.
Ballooned up to 265, was a heavy drinker, picked up a crazy habit of smoking cigarettes, which, I look back on and say, how damn dumb could I be?
Yeah.
I've treated people as numbers. Either you were going to produce and you were on the train, or you were going to get kicked off the train. And what I found out was, man, I was winning in business, but buddy, I was losing, man. I was a terrible husband, which that's the most important role you have. A shitty dad, a terrible boss. I was that boss that, man, just ruled with an iron fist, and we're going to get there, and you're going to get there, and we're going to work all these hours, and not what's in it for them, but what's in it for me. And what I found out was, man, I turned into like a monster, man. I turned into, even my wife at one point's like, who are you? You've lost who you are. You're not the person I married. And she hit me below the belt, and I'll never forget it. She said to me, if you don't make changes, I want you to visualize somebody else walking your daughter down the aisle, because you're either going to die or my new husband will walk your daughter down the aisle. And I was like, damn. Like, I got really pissed, because when you're in something, you don't see what other people see.
Mm-mm.
All I saw was I was winning in business, and I was well on my way to becoming a dealer, but I didn't realize that I turned into this monster. I mean, it got so bad, and I got into a depression where I shaved in the dark.
Yeah.
The biggest thing I realized was when I hit my lowest of lows and had a heart attack and was rushed to the hospital and damn near died, was, man, what am I doing here? I'm going to win alone. I'm going to lose everything that's important to me. What clicked to me was, I got to build a team where I asked Justin, what is your goals? What do you want to accomplish? What does your 5 years from now look like? Mm-hmm. I knew what mine looked like, but what does yours look like? Okay, Scott, in 5 years, I want to open up my own used car lot. Okay, Justin, no problem. I want to help you do that. So I'm going to help you become the best salesperson and person, and I'm going to pour into you. And if you do a really good job for us and perform, I may even invest with you. But mm-hmm. Let me also explain to you, Justin, if you can't come here and perform when you only have to manage yourself after we train you, 90% of small businesses fail, and it's because of undercapitalization. So if you struggle managing yourself, you most definitely don't want to go that route. So actually, Justin, this would be a really good way for you to see if entrepreneurship is for you. And I just started caring about people, genuinely caring about people. People tell you they care about you, but words are cheap.
Yep.
I may have said that in the past, but I didn't really care. I cared about myself. And man, it flipped. And obviously, I got in better shape, became a better husband. Put the cigarettes down, put the drinking down. I still enjoy occasional beer.
Yeah,
I was drinking every night. I would literally drink like 2 22-ounce beers before I got home, and I lived 15 minutes from my house. And my wife was like, "Did you go to a bar?" And I'm like, "No." It's like, I had a beer after work on the way home, because I didn't want to talk about the life that I had created.
Mm-hmm.
And so, man, yeah, you've got to have a vision in a company. At least this is what we've been successful at. And then we've got to put the person that works with us, not for us, with us, find out what their dreams and goals are and fit it within ours. And we also give them a very clear career flight path. If you perform here and do these things, you go product specialist, which is in the auto industry, it is somebody that a product specialist is mostly salary. Then they go to a sales rep, sales professional, sales manager, general sales manager, general manager. So if somebody wants to work their way up, that's what it looks like. And this is what you got to achieve in that. So yeah, man, I had to become a better human. I had to genuinely care about people.
Well, I wrote that down. That's what I was doing when I looked down, taking some notes, because I think that's the flight path analogy is very intelligent. I think we'll go back to that in a few minutes. Going back to like the different issues that you were facing when you were that monster, right? Whether it be the relationship with your spouse, whether it be your health, or just how you were leading, which one of those was the first one that you tackled?
Well, it was my health, because if I didn't, I was going to die.
Really?
I was on the highest blood pressure medication possible. And I tell you, when you're on that high blood pressure medication, they couldn't give me anymore. And I remember my wife used to call my doctor and say, tell him to quit drinking and quit smoking. So if you smoke a cigarette, which is stupid, I can't even I'm still so damn dumb. But anyway.
I used to smoke too, brother. Like I've had issues as well. So I get it.
When someone smokes a cigarette, when you go check your blood pressure numbers will go up about 20 points. So from one cigarette, now imagine if you're smoking 2, 3 or whatever, and then you add alcohol to it. Well, alcohol is not good for your blood pressure. And then you add obesity to it. Then you add maybe some bad genes. So you add all that together, man. And I was a hot mess. I mean, but anyway, I got spared. What can I say? And the biggest thing I learned about that was I want to help people make changes before it gets to that point.
For sure.
So part of the thing, and I know you and I've talked about this, is we do a mentorship. I'm about to do my 7th mentorship here at Valley. I don't mentor people outside of the auto industry.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people ask. I'll share what we do, but I don't have time to mentor anybody else at this point in my life, because here I'm at the dealership. Like, I run 5 car dealerships on a day-to-day basis. So I have a job. Could my team do they handle it when I'm not here? Yes. Are they very capable? Yes. But when I'm in town and not traveling for my other businesses and doing different things in, Arte Syndicate, Apex, Lions Not Sheep, the different entrepreneur groups, I mean, I'm here and I'm very involved. Like, I'm in the CDGR showroom. I have pretty much an office I can use at every store, but I'm here and I'm very, very involved. But this mentorship was really a game changer, because I said, what can I do to help people make changes before their spouse leaves them, before they have a heart attack. Mm-hmm. So out of that, I spawned this mentorship, which actually made it to the Automotive News. So Automotive News is the biggest periodical in the US and Canada about the automobile industry. And they came and did an article about it. We've had someone lose 50 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And this program is about 90 days. We also had somebody, unfortunately, that was considering suicide.
Yeah.
And the person decided not to. So we've literally not only saved people, but we literally saved a life. And that person has since flourished, and they're still here. Wow. We don't talk about it. Yeah. But, I mean, I could take you through that story, man. The hair on your arms and neck would stand up if you heard that story. But the bottom line is, and I don't want to embarrass him because I love the guy.
For sure.
But we literally saved somebody's life. Mm-hmm. So mentoring our team here, which now will be I've mentored about 140 people through that mentorship. And I'm trying to get people to make changes before you have to. Like, I know your story too. You had to make a change. Mm-hmm. You probably made the change because you had to.
I was died 3 times. Yeah, I basically had to, pretty much.
You didn't learn it the first time. You had to do it the second, third time.
I'm very stubborn by nature. Yes.
So I said, what if I can make a change in their life before it gets to that point? Because, you're lucky to be alive. You're lucky to be alive. Well, guess what? So am I. Mm-hmm. So I think when you get spared, it's our obligation, and maybe when we're favored, which I think we both are highly favored people. We live a very blessed life. I know the life you live. And I think when you're favored, highly favored, and you're spared, it's you were spared for a reason. And part of that reason is to make an impact in this world.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the man that linked us together, Glenn Lundy, I remember of all the hundreds of hours I've heard him speak and all the influence he's had on me, more than anything, the story of how the show started about, somebody calling in on his daily show that he was doing in his closet. And, the guy was literally going to take his own life, and Glenn being in a position to share his story to open the door for that guy. I think that's why you're on the show today. It's talking about sales and running teams, but really going to the core of it. It's your love for human beings. And it's funny to me to think that you were a monster at one point in time, because when I hear your voice, you're so warm with people now, and the other side of you, the potential of who Scott Simons would never have been found had you not hit that breaking point and kind of found your way. Now, deconstructing that, when you hit your wall, like, what was the first actual action you took to regain control of your health? Like, was it just, I'm not smoking anymore? Was it one thing that led to another?
Yeah, I got really mad at myself. I went to a depression. And some people to say they radically just stop, that was pretty radical to me. Mm-hmm. And obviously I put the cigarettes down. I didn't go get hypnotized or go on a patch or nothing like that. I just said, it's killing me.
Stopped.
The alcohol cut way, 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 way back. Yep. I started going and working out. It was brutal, man. I mean, when you let yourself go like that, I remember my face was just bright red and it was big. And I was like, man, like, how did I get here? And I was a guy that was you go to a pool and you wouldn't take your shirt off and you kept buying bigger clothes and you're like, my wife's shrinking my clothes, or, no, I'm getting fat. And I had to come to realization was I had to make some changes. And it first started with my health. It first started with my wife and I deciding to work on our marriage. Me owning it. I had to own it. It was all my fault. I created it and I had to own it. And then I just always thought that I truly cared about people, genuinely cared about people, but my actions had to match my words. I couldn't tell them. I had to show them. And, like doing the mentorship, man, that takes a lot of time. I mean, we meet every Monday at noon, and we meet during lunch, and they could eat during the mentorship. But that's when we meet and we talk about the first is health, because without health, you don't have anything else. And then it's finances. Yep. And then it's relationships. And we have experts come in and speak. It's not just me. When we go into this meeting too, Justin, there's no titles. I'm not the boss or the leader. And they all call me boss, which I don't like them calling me that.
I get it.
They call me because I don't feel I'm a leader. I'm not a boss.
Yep.
Because a boss tells you what to do. A leader shows you what to do. But we learned some stuff about mentorship too. We learned that talking about it, that people we needed to make them apply. We need to make them, they had to tell us why they wanted to do it. Not because we wanted to do it. Why did they want to do it?
Yeah.
Then what was their goals? What did they want to accomplish? Like losing weight. And I remember like one of the meetings, a guy that lost 40 pounds that relocated to come work for me from Pennsylvania, one of my best employees, because he wanted me to mentor him. He moved his family.
That's awesome.
To mentor. So we're getting to the end. He wanted to lose weight. He had lost no weight. Justin, I said, why are you here? Why did you move here? Like, I'm calling you out right now.
Yeah.
At the end of it, he said, I'm going to lose weight by like 6 months or a year. I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not. Because you haven't done anything in the 90 days here. 90 days, you're going to lose 40 pounds. You understand? I said, everybody in this room is going to hold you accountable. And I called him out on his BS. And that when people do that, they care about you. But it was the first thing I had to do is I had to tackle my health. Then I had to be present for my family. I had to be present for my wife. I had to be a good husband. I was at work all the time. I would even go in on Sundays and take volunteers, Justin. We weren't open on Sundays. Yeah. I wanted it so bad. I'd say, whoever wants to show up with me, I want to be here. I'll sell cars on my own. I'll meet and greet people. If you want to come in and help me, come in and help me. And I had some people show up. Toward the end of the month, I'd have quite a few show up. And so I was at work 7 days a week, 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
And man, I mean, I wasn't there. I mean, my wife was raising 2 kids by herself. And man, I missed out on a lot looking back on it. But I made up for it. I'm very present when I'm around my family. Do I slip up? Yes. Phone's down. I live life to the fullest. So when I'm here, I'm living every day like it's fullest. When we go travel, like I'll give you an example. I wouldn't have done this in the past. I wouldn't have missed work. But my son and my wife and I are flying to LA with a Apex and Arte brother of mine is a season ticket holder of the Chargers.
Okay.
The Dolphins play the Chargers. We're flying down Saturday morning. Going to spend the day in LA Saturday.
That's awesome.
Sunday, we're going to go to the Dolphins Chargers game and we're flying back on Monday. The old Scott would never have done that.
Yeah.
Because my son
work. My
son wants to go to some comic book stores in LA.
Yeah.
Because he's 16, found out there's some nice comic book stores there. He wants to go to the pier and he wants to see a Dolphins game. And it happens to be through networks and connections. A friend of mine is a season ticket holder with amazing seats to the Dolphins Chargers game. Out of all the games, my son picked that one, and I happen to have a connection. So he's hosting us, picking us up and everything. So, yeah, so I had to start with health, wife, children, which, your spouse has to come first.
Yep.
I think other people make mistakes where they put their kids before their spouse, and then they live vicariously through their children.
Yeah.
And then they forget, they lose who they are. They let their self go because everything's put into those children, and they forget to live their own life. Yeah, they got to be important to us, but they can't come before our spouse, and we still have to live our life. So I didn't want to make that mistake, but I did change, and I'm much more present and I'm much more active, involved. I ended up coaching my son football, ran his football team, and got very involved. I was on a football field for months every weekend, which the old Scott would have never done.
No, and that story I think resonates with a lot of people. I bet you there's people watching this right now that can relate to the different stages of, being in the trenches, thinking that you need to do something and that's going to solve everything else. Oh, honey, I'm working so hard. Look at the money. I'm paying the bills. And I mean, that's so many men out there that are working and but they're living lives of quiet desperation because they're using it as a crutch. You can use alcohol as a crutch. You can use caffeine as a crutch. You could be a workaholic like you can be anything else. Just making yourself feel good, when in reality, I think to be an effective leader and run an effective sales team, you have to be somebody that is respected and admired. And to be respected and admired, you have to be the person that you're describing. And what's really cool about your story is if anybody has struggled with any one of those things, you can actually change it if you're willing to take one step and then another and another. And I think you found that hack where, you're grateful for the position that you're in. You're not you're not scared to share the vulnerability of the story because it doesn't define you. You allowed it to refine you and say, that's the person that I don't want to be. I'm going to track towards the version of myself that is maybe not me today. Maybe I'm going to work on it every day till I die, but is the person that team's going to look up to and be like, man, I'm glad I met him. And I think the next portion of the podcast I want to talk about is, now that you have kind of the foundational pieces in place and you understand how to take care of your family and be in better health and be in a mental clarity standpoint, running that many team members across that many organizations. I've asked you this live on Clubhouse. I've been like, man, how do you do that and still maintain a personal relationship? So I guess what is the cadence that you think is required from, team meetings and so on and so forth without it feeling corporate per se?
Yeah, well, I learned a lot and have came up with my own system based on being in other people's systems and what I saw didn't work. Like, I know, companies like this, they have meetings about having meetings, then have the meeting. And I never wanted to be that person that micromanages people.
Yep.
I don't. Each one of these 5 different showrooms have a leader. That leader runs the showroom. They have to be the person that is seen as the leader, and each one of them going about it in a different way within our culture, within the culture of CMA moving lives forward. Like Liza's vision has to align with my vision. She and I are different people. She goes about things a little bit differently than I do, but it's still the same mission of moving lives forward. And then they do also, but I never want them to be a robot. They can't be me. I can't be her, because we are who we are. So I allow them and want them to run those businesses. Now, if something comes up and they need my opinion or advice, but I want to empower them to make decisions. So each one of these showrooms have a general manager or a leader that run the day-to-day operations. And I most definitely want them to do that. I don't want, I can't manage 175 people.
For sure.
Now, I have an open door policy. Anybody here, like as I'm sitting here in the showroom, there will be people. There's one just came up that wanted to meet with me or say something or come in. They can do that. Like I have a note on the door right now, on a podcast, come back or text me. But they can come talk to me. The first thing I'm going to do, Justin, when that happens is I'm going to say, is it personal or professional? And if it's professional, did you talk to your leader? Have you already spoke to your leader about this?
Yeah.
Because I'm really big on chain of command. I've worked at places where
they're playing games, right? They're dancing around all the different people, getting mom against dad and whatever.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like that is so undermining, because going above somebody never works out, because you're going to hold hostility toward that person, or you're going to be upset no matter what anybody says. No one likes anybody to go above their head. So I learned that lesson, because in the auto industry and probably other industries, there's a lot of backstabbing going on. Yeah. And I said, first of all, we're not going to do that. If you come in and you have a complaint, we're going to call that an opportunity. You need to have a solution to your complaint, or don't bring it, because then you're just complaining. And then
I'll give you one better. So it's one problem, 3 solutions, pick one. And that actually makes them think through 3 solutions. Have you read Dan Martell's Buy Back Your Time? I'm sending you 2 books. I'm going to send you that book, and I'm going to send you Peter Attia's Outlive, because I do want to touch on what you spoke about earlier. But go ahead. Yeah. So they bring you the problem and they bring you a solution.
Yep. But so I do have an open door policy. I get to know my people through the mentorship, But I had the five general managers, then I have a controller. So really, when you sit and look at it, I do have a recon manager. I do have
what's a recon manager?
They recondition the vehicles.
I thought you meant they're like checking out your competition, like reconnaissance.
Yeah, no, we do that. We check. We look and analyze and mystery shop and analyze other people's websites, especially the stores, and no matter where they are, that are doing some really big numbers and doing big things.
For sure.
So we'll go mystery shop them to see how they follow up with people. Smart. Are they using AI? They're not using AI. How are they pricing? So we do a lot of, in school, if you took somebody else's idea, you were cheating. In business, if you analyze somebody and you mimic what they're doing or do it better, that's called best practices. So I did get, at school, I did, sometimes maybe look at, or I hung out with smarter people than me, because if you just check my intelligence, I'm not very intelligent when it comes from, SAT, LSAT, GMAT, all those tests I used to have to take. But I do have a lot of common sense. I do have a lot of street smarts. So anyway, yeah. So I learned that and from other people. But anyway, here I have those people that come in, and those are the ones that I meet with on a more regular basis. Now, every day, an email comes out with all of our ARC forecast versus where we are. And it goes out to all the leaders. We're at ESOP. So we do share all of our financial information with our employees. It's called Employee Stock Option Plan.
Okay.
How it works is we're one of the few car dealerships that are ESOP. There are ESOPs in the country. That means the people here are actually owners of the company. We take 10% of our net profit and share it with our employees. So let me give you an example. Say it's $50 million, which is what it was last year. We take $5 million and share it with 1,000 employees based on what they produce, capped at 120. We'll share that profit with them. The average employee here got $4,500 worth of stock. Our stock is not traded. You cannot buy it. It's privately held. And if you leave, we buy your stock back. And then we have an evaluator that comes in and evaluates our business. Our business appreciated over 20% last year.
Wow.
So if someone worked here and they had $100,000 worth of stock, they got almost 30,000 more, plus they got 4,500.
Wow.
So somebody here that's been here for a while may have made $35,000 in the stock appreciation in ownership last year. And a lot of our stockholders of our company are not C-suite or not top level managers or leaders.
Sure.
They are technicians. They're sales reps that have been here for a while.
So they're investing, right? Which a lot of people don't invest when they just don't know how to, right? So you guys almost build a structure internally for that.
In between ESOP and 401k, I'm on the investment committee because we invest their money for them. Last year, we had over $64 million of our associates' money in ESOP and 401k.
Wow.
So I'm on that investment committee. And so we elect, every dealership has somebody representing the people of the dealership on there, plus us leaders.
Interesting.
So that's something else that we do that is, I think, very smart to get people to want to work for us and stay. Because, there's a lot of competition out there.
Yep.
So it's something that we did years and years and years ago. And our stock has went up about 13, 14% on average, which you and I both know that means their money will double every 6 years.
Yeah.
So, we have some millionaires here that are working here that started here when they were young. And it's great to see.
Technicians and whatnot too. I think about that compounding interest over time, like, taking care of your people. And I mean, that's the heart of this episode really. And why I wanted to bring you on was I hear that in the way that you speak. I don't think many people understand it, because what you said earlier, like when you were the monster, I could think about a time in my life when I was a complete opposite of who I am today. It's easy to say something. It's easy to say you care more about people than profits, but it's through the actions that you do as a leader, how you run the team, how you give, like even the accountability piece, like holding that guy accountable to, are you tracking on your health goals? Like, did you talk to your leader? Like, those aren't comfortable conversations sometimes. How would you encourage a leader to get comfortable with uncomfortable conversations? Because I do think they're at the heart of the relationship building part of leadership, right?
Right. First and foremost, you can have hard conversations with anybody if they genuinely not think, if they know you care about them.
Yeah.
If I truly care about you and I know that you're going down the wrong path, or you're being average and I see something in you don't see in yourself. And if I don't say anything, that means I truly don't care about you.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell people, hey, if I'm on you and I ride you a little bit and we have 100% accountability. So our numbers are emailed every day. So everybody sees them. Obviously they all want to compete. So my leaders and my 5 leaders want to compete. Who's the
top dog
leader in Valley? Then we want to compete against the other 23 stores. So my leaders are very, very competitive. But in our sales meetings on Saturday, I have a meeting that I lead with my leaders that I have everybody here. During the week, the leaders have their own meetings. So really, we have a Tuesday meeting at 10:30 with all the leaders. And then we have the Saturday morning, which was with all the salespeople and managers. All their numbers go up on a screen. You're ranked. If you are the GM of the store that's tracking the highest over percentage, or whoever's the leader of the goal that we set for your forecast, you go first. If you're last, you go last. No one wants to go last.
Yeah.
Then on that report, it shows what your goal was as a salesperson, where you're at, how many calls you've made, how many emails you've made, how many hours you've worked. How long does it take you? We take your hours you work, divide it into how many cars you've sold.
Yeah.
So how long does it take you to sell a car? So then I could say to you, Justin, if you sell one car every 18 hours, what do you do the other 16 hours?
Yeah.
Because if it takes you 2 hours or say 3 hours, I'll give you benefit of the doubt, Justin, but if it takes you 3 hours to effectively deliver a car, what do you do the other 15 hours? And then people are like, I've never thought about it like that. But where we learned tracking that from was a guy named David Long, which runs a very successful automotive group. He's on Clubhouse.
Okay.
He shared that with me. I'm like, that's brilliant. How come I never tracked that? So guess what? We track it. So then we can have conversations. I say, okay, let's look at what you're doing. Also on those numbers, if you have a lot of activity and no results, we got to look at your activity. If you have no activity and no results, then what are we doing here?
We literally just unlocked something in our CRM, and it's a leaderboard, and it shows the stats, and you get points based on appointments booked. That's the highest. The lowest would be an email, and in between are like phone calls and texts. And we started gamifying it and looking at the leaderboard. We looked at 30 days out. We looked at 7 days and yesterday. What's funny is what you just said about that internal competition. Initially, like my hesitancy was like, well, I don't want to make anybody feel less than. But then I realized the unlock was like, one of my agents was away on vacation, came back. My other guy, who's one of my top guys, just grinding in the office. He was the leader. All of a sudden, the guy that came back surged ahead of him. But check this out. He actually made less phone calls, but booked more appointments. So he was ahead because they'd get more points for appointments. So in the call, we're like, well, what are you doing to get appointments? Like, well, how are the conversations happening? Now he gives that tool set to my other guy. Now they're in collaboration. Sure, there's a friendly competition, but now you have an ecosystem of like, well, this is working. Go try this. And the other guy gets excited. And then he goes out, brings something back to the table. Right. And I think that's the culture that you're explaining is you can do it in a way where you're putting accountability in place, but still be in collaboration with people. Right.
Yeah. And I tell you, that's so important. Everybody's competitive, man. I mean, not, when we interview people, you'll hear Glenn say this too. We don't basically hire on just your credentials. We ask questions. Did you play sports? Are you a competitive person? What do you do in your free time? Like our interviews are totally different than really, we don't want anybody with any other automotive experience. We want to train them the way that we want to train them. And we're big on, which you are too, you referenced it various times, and I've heard you talk about it, about relationship sales. And like even I talked to you about Florida, you're going to go vet and find me the best person to talk to in
the best
area. Yeah. And then you're going to say, hey, this is who you talk to. And then once you say, hey, Scott, this is the person, that person now, the trust I have for that person because you personally endorsed him. That person also knows if I have a bad experience, you have a huge network.
It's going to be a problem. Yeah, they know that.
It's going to cost them a lot of money, even if they're not even fixated on, they just know. So there's two ways. One, I want to take care of somebody because you've referred them and I respect you. Second thing is man, this can cost me a lot of money if I don't take care of Scott.
Yeah.
Right. So I get it. So another thing that we train on, which you're referencing too, is building relationships. And you've heard me, we've talked about this before. A transaction is that lead was generated by CMA. That lead was generated by Honda. That lead was generated by Jeep. That lead was generated by Ram. That comes in through the internet, generated by radio, TV, mailer. So that's a transaction.
Yeah.
Once we do that transaction, we want to turn that customer into a relationship sale. And how do you do that, Scott? Hey, Justin, with you purchasing a vehicle, you can purchase this vehicle anywhere. Mm-hmm. But let me explain what comes with purchasing a vehicle from us. And I'm going to talk about me. I am your car guy. You're going to have my cell phone. You're not going to call service for a service appointment. You're going to text or call me because our service department's really busy. I can get you in there. And not only am I going to do that, Justin, I know you're terribly busy because you're extremely successful in real estate. You're a busy man. I'm going to come to your house. I'm going to pick up your car. I'm going to drop you off a loaner. I'm going to drop you off. If you need a truck to use that day, you tell me what you would like. I'm going to bring you a loaner. I'm going to bring your vehicle in. I'm going to get you in. If you call a shop, they may say a week. I'll get you in tomorrow. I'm going to bring it in. I'm going to get it serviced. I'm going to bring it back and I'm going to drop it off to you anytime you want. And not only I'll do that for any cars you bought from me, but we service any vehicle. I'll do any of your vehicles. If your family needs somebody to come pick it up, I'm here all day anyway. So if you sit and think about it, if I'm a sales associate and I'm really frugal, I could take a company car, burn the company gas, pick up a consumer car, bring it in. So I'm not paying for gas.
For sure.
So you really sit and think about it. And see, my dad was a very frugal person, so I think very frugally a lot of times.
Yeah.
But he also had a scarcity mindset. I didn't want to clip coupons my whole life. I wanted to grow. I wanted to raise, sure, you could be conservative, but I wanted to raise my top line revenue, which is me, is my entity. So you get my cell phone, you get me. And then I talk about all the benefits of doing business for us with CMA. We contribute a lot of money to the local. These are all the different places we donate money to. These ball clubs, these high schools, this, that, and the other. And then from that first transaction, next time you're going to buy directly from me, which that's a relationship. Yeah. And then we also train them on how to utilize social media. Put your profile on public, not private. Sure, some people are going to slide in your DMs, send you creepy stuff. Yeah, then just block them. Everything's on public. You're going to go and join Facebook groups, local. Like if I'm Spanish, I'm going to join the Spanish group. If I'm in football, I'm going to join the football group. I'm going to join all these different Facebook groups, and I'm going to go and answer questions. Never selling anything. Yeah. Never selling anything. So I'm going to go build up my community that I can pull from me. And when they contact me directly, that's called a relationship sale. Justin, before we trained on this, our relationship sales was 5%. Wow. So out of 100 cars sold, 5 came from the person working here generating the lead on their own. Now it's 45%. So if you really sit and think about that, I've been able to cut back on advertising or reallocate funds to technology or different advertising. It's allowed me to give more money to local high schools and communities. I'm still spending the same amount of money I did before, but now I get to allocate it to AI and get to allocate it for different things to make us better.
You're more efficient, right? When you think about it in the long run.
I used to be on TV all the time. Well, part of it was my own arrogance. Who don't like to see themselves on TV? Was it probably the best allocation of funds? Well, we were building a brand, building an image. Yeah. I'm hardly on TV anymore because I don't need to be.
Sure.
I don't need to spend traditional advertising because our team. So when someone comes as a referral, they close at a higher percentage, much higher percentage, about double. Typically, it's an easier transaction for everybody.
Always. Yep.
Because they're not there to fight. They're there because they know that if Justin refers me somebody, he's not going to ruin his own reputation. It's not worth it on one deal. It's not worth it on one transaction.
No.
Ever. So those are some of the things that I learned by being around people much smarter than me. A lot of this stuff I'm sharing with you, and you both share, it's not our ideas. No. Some of it maybe I've came up with the mentorship internal, but I did it because I wanted to give back and I wanted to not see people I care about get in the position I got myself in. So those are some of the things that we've done to build these high-power teams that people have relocated all over the country to Stanton, Virginia, in the Blue Ridge Mountains, a population of 20,000 people. Our mall just got knocked down because it was vacant, 90% vacant. And I had people relocating. So, man, it's just, and now it's just, I'm very fortunate Now I take my serious, I don't take anything for granted. I could lose it all tomorrow, and my health, I could die tomorrow. But man, I tell you, I get up at 3:30, 4 o'clock every day. I love the life that I have. I love the people that I work with. And it's like a dream, man. It's like my life is like a dream life. I wouldn't want to trade it with anybody.
And I love that story. I think you are a great example of somebody who took action, right? Because you could have easily lived another 1 or 10 or 20 years in the condition that you were in and just, sedated yourself and not live the life that you live now. So I love that you share that story, and what you talked about, repurposing other people's ideas. Like, I've been taking notes this entire time on my Remarkable about that mentorship program, because I do it inherently with my team leads anyways, but I don't have the structure behind it. So I think you built a mentorship program to probably create structure around, okay, let's systemize this and make it repeatable so that they have an expectation and an execution and the accountability piece. So I think people got a lot of value from that. Also, I did some research. I talked to 2 of my sales guys. There's really good fly fishing in your area. So I'm going to bring 2 of my top sales guys down there on a road trip to come see you one day.
I mean, we would get on 4-wheelers and ride the mountains, and man, it's beautiful here. It's beautiful. Yeah. There's great fly fishing, great hunting. I mean, whatever you want to do, we're in God's country here. It's we're really fortunate. We get to see all 4 seasons. Winters aren't too rough. Yeah. But yeah, you get all 4 seasons here. We would love to have you down, and love to have you down and talk to our team. Ramon spoke to our team. Ali Rita, the #1 Guinness book in the #1 salesperson in the world, flew down and spoke to my team, and he and I learned a lot from him. It's funny. I'll say some things, and he basically stood up and said a lot because I learned it from him. What I say, because I learned stuff from people much smarter than me. And it got done. Everybody said, and I'm like,
I said that. I told you all that stuff over the last couple of years.
He's got the receipts. No one wants to hear about the guy about, oh, this is what I used to do and blah, 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 blah. I never want to be that guy. But he comes in and he's doing it. I mean, he sold 200 cars, 175 cars in 1 month by himself, in Michigan. And they work their union. They work Monday through Friday, like 8 to 5.
Wild.
And he sold that many cars. I mean, I just referred him somebody yesterday.
Where's he based out of in Michigan?
Dearborn.
He's super close to us. So I'm just north of the border. Michigan's actually closer to us than Toronto is, which is funny.
It would be something for you to go see.
Yeah.
Because he's the GOAT. I mean, he's the Michael Jordan of the car.
Yeah. Well, I already connected you with my brother-in-law. I know he's going to reach out as well, too. Shout out to the Grogans and Grogan Classics. I think you guys will learn a lot from each other. But I appreciate that open door invitation. And if we have an event up here, you'll definitely be a speaker. A couple more rapid-fire questions, and I'm going to get you out of here, all right?
Brother, absolutely.
Okay, so up to this point, I mean, you've kind of answered this question, but I guess at the core of it, how has failure shaped your life?
I wouldn't be here today. That's where we learn. I mean, no one likes to fail, right? And when you do, you got to own it. I was that guy that, and we all go through it. I think it's immaturity where, it wasn't our fault. I didn't get the breaks. The owner I worked for before paid me peanuts. You got to own it. You've got to own it. Like a good leader will say this: never it's I, me. It's us, we. Never, ever, ever, ever should I say, and I said it earlier, I called myself, my. This ain't my, this is ours. This not I, it's we. It's not me, it's us. Yeah. A leader should never use the words I, me, never. Because that shows that's very arrogant. It's not, it's ours. I mean, I wouldn't be anything if it wasn't for the people out here. They made me look really, really good, I promise you. And you've got to truly own it. Now, when you say I do say I. When we come up short and we have a bad month, I take full responsibility. When we have a problem, when we make a mistake, I just met with a guest before I got on here, and we made a mistake, and I owned it. And we put a bedliner in, and it's not exactly what he wants.
Yeah.
In some eyes, is he picky? Yes. But he's right. He's the customer, sir. Obviously, we've tried to fix it a couple times. Take full responsibility. Well, no, it's not your fault, but I don't think your team handled it. I said, actually, they didn't handle it properly. I take full responsibility. Here's my cell phone. My assistant took notes. We're going to fix this problem. We're going to make this right. And I apologize you've had this problem. Now, he was real crappy to some of my people. And I said it with, I was nothing but respectful to him, and he was nothing but respectful to me. And I did say, sir, obviously we made some mistakes, but please be respectful to my team, and they're going to be respectful to you, because my team is a really good team.
Yeah.
They just made a mistake.
They're humans, right?
They're humans. I apologize on their behalf. And he kept saying, but you didn't do any of this. Yes, I did.
Yeah.
It's me. So we made a mistake. It's me. I'm going to fix it. I own it. So when we come up short and when things don't go right, a good leader accepts full responsibility for the losses, for the opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
They deflect the praise. And that's something that I learned from really great leaders.
Yeah.
Before, that person before was me. We're winning because of me. Yeah, well, I was going to win alone. I was going to sit around and be like, man, look, I've got this dealer. Now, who the hell wants to work for me? I'm an ass, Yeah. But anyway, so that, man, we most definitely learn more from the losses than wins. And trust me, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes every day.
Yeah. And I dies hard, real hard. Right. So I can appreciate that sentiment. The second question that I have for you is like, you're so good at what you do, but people like you are always learning. You're always looking for that next thing. What is something new, maybe you're not great at, that you're excited about that you're learning right now?
Man, I'm this technology there. You're like, man, the way you do your clubhouse, and you've got it on YouTube and we're on StreamYard.
It's a little crazy. Yeah.
My brother, like, you're on top of technology. Like, I literally had to get my right-hand guy, which is very smart, to come in, and we had to test this to make sure my microphone was going to work.
Perfect. That's all right.
There, and I'm like, it's not working. And they're like, did you click this red button? And I'm like, okay. So I don't keep up with the technology. And I know that if I don't keep up with it, I'm going to fall really far behind. And like hearing Glenn talk about AI, I never want to be that old fart that doesn't know what's going on. Yeah. So I really need to make sure that I'm staying up on technology and stick with it. Like, I'll buy some things with the hope of it doing this, and then I just put it to the side when I get frustrated, and I can't do that. So I need to stay up with technology, and so does everybody else.
Well, you talk about surrounding yourself with people, right? And I think if I'm picturing Glenn Lundy's driving the bus and we're just a bunch of rascals on the bus behind each other, and you're like, hey, Justin, tap me on the shoulder. What do you think about this? Like, when you surround yourself with leverage, you have that. The Arte Syndicate. I don't know if you know Mike Sherrard. He's in the Arte Syndicate as well. Mike. He's a close friend of mine as well, too, just through what we do in real estate. And like, the community allows that freedom. So I love that you're searching for that. It makes a huge difference. The most important question, given you made time for my audience, I want to give you the platform to share whatever message you want to share with them, point them in any direction that you want. So if you're talking to the entire Prime Nation, what message would you have for them?
Yeah. And first of all, Mike, he loves purple. He's got
he does. His little purple Lambo.
Purple Lambo. And yeah. Mike was in the Arte Syndicate. And I tell you, one thing I did by joining those groups, Justin, is I never want to get comfortable.
Yeah.
Glenn Lundy talks about it all the time. So I never want to take a phrase from somebody. We're most comfortable before death. Mm-hmm. And do not allow yourself to get comfortable. Also, don't allow people to put you in a bucket or a group. For a long time, I thought there was something wrong with me. I can't relax. Like, I'll go fishing with you because I respect you. But like, I want to be on something I'm an adrenaline junkie.
You're fast, right? You need stimulation, right?
I want to be 70 on the water on a Sea-Doo. I want to get in my, my Z06 Corvette and probably exceed the speed limit. My wife likes to sit on the beach. I like to parasail. I like to ride Sea-Doos. I like to be on a boat. But don't allow people to put you in a box. Yeah. Forever people wanted to medicate me, or you're ADHD, or you got this problem, and hey, you're in this box. No, we're all different, and you just got to find the right crowd and surround yourself with people that will push you. If somebody gives you criticism, that you see criticism and they truly care about you, it's because they truly care. They're not being critical of you. So I joined those groups to not allow myself to get comfortable, because here I could be considered a medium-sized fish. Well, man, in my little small pond, I'm out in the sea, man. I got to watch it. I mean, there's some people doing some amazing things.
Yeah.
So, we get one opportunity this life on earth. I am a Christian. I do believe. But I don't really profess that faith because I believe everybody should believe whatever they want to believe. But we're here. How will we be remembered?
Mhm.
Will we be remembered? And what will people say? Sure, some people are going to say some negative things because they don't understand you and they may be frustrated that they're not where they want to be in life and they portray that out on you.
Yep.
But man, we're here on this earth one time and one time only. What difference will we actually make and how many lives will we actually impact? And we all can impact a lot of lives and in our own unique way. And man, time goes by so fast, man. I'm 50 years old. Holy cow, I can't believe it. I mean, you blink and I'm 50 years old. And I'm just going to live every day like it's my last. I'm not going to leave anything out on the field. And I'm going to do everything. I'm going to do everything to the best of my ability. And I'm going to do it up, man, with the time that I got left.
Be inspired or be average. I love that. Nobody remembers how much money you made, but they remember how you made them feel. Scott, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. For all the viewers, make sure you go to the links below, connect with Scott. Feel free to shoot him a DM. He is one of the real ones. I only have practitioners on this channel. If you want to catch any back episodes, there's tons of other people that I know. Actually, Mike Sherrard was on the show as well, too. So you can go watch that episode, hit that subscribe notification button. If you're on the audio only version of the podcast, make sure to give us a rating or review. We don't sell any coaching. I don't do any mentorship outside of our own organization. The one way you can thank us by sharing the podcast out. And Scott, looking forward to more collaboration and meeting you in person, my man.
Justin, thank you so much for having me on, man. You know how much I admire and respect you. I know your story. I know what you're about. And it's an honor to run with you, brother. But thank you. Thank you for having me on Instagram, Scotty Simons, Facebook. Reach out to me just like Justin. I will sell you a vehicle. Man, I've sold about 130 TRXs, but I sell more than just TRXs.
Amazing.
But if I can help you in any way, please reach out. Justin, I admire you. I respect you. I thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks, man. And I'll catch you on the next one for sure. See you, Scott.
I see you, brother. Thank you.
Bye.